So today is the 17th of February. This is the Open Space Committee meeting calling to order. So today we have somewhat of a shorter agenda. We've got plenty of work to do though. So we're going to go over some of this stuff that Sadie and I put on the agenda, and that we've been kind of have a plan moving forward. But before we dive into that, Eva, I see you're on board. I don't know if you have anything that you want to talk about up front. This is the part where we have citizens queries. So you have anything to provide or you'd like to say?
I do. With Sadie, she sent me a overview.
Yes,
Um,
the cultural section of the
correct.
like town background plan section. Yes.
And if I was going to add anything to this, I would focus a little bit more on the fact that we were a cattle rearing company. And the best example, I think the best is Currier's History of Newbury. It's just, yeah, History of Newbury. Page 32, 33 gives you the breakdown of when the first settlers came and when the first Dutch and Scottish ships came with the cattle and how eventually the corporation went bad. It didn't last long, but that is really why they were together. So if you just read that little blip and maybe focus a little bit more on that's what we came here for, to raise livestock.
Okay. So, like in the section where it says Newbury 1635 settlement by English Puritans was characterized by a transition from a close-knit agrarian community into foundational pillar of
Which
Massachusetts
it
at the
did.
first. So weave in there somehow the first settlers designation refers to a group of 100 pioneers. So was that the 100 pioneers that came in to be cattle
It
ranchers?
was. It was 97 to start,
Uh-huh.
but like I said, Curry's gives a really good history. It even tells when the first ship came of Dutch and Scottish cattle and other livestock. It showed up only about a month after May of 1635, so right away. And I've read another account where they really believe that this was the promised land. The natives have only been kind of wiped out by disease only a few years before. So they saw all this open field and they were really set here to raise cattle so other communities could come and get what they needed. But it went bad. It only lasted a few months before the herdsman, um, I think it was Thomas Coleman, abandoned his post, which caused the cattle and eventually the land to be divided amongst just those few. So it played a big part in what we have, what it ended up being settled as. But it's a good
Yeah.
read anyway. Curry is page, well, I think about page 32 it starts. It's a nice account
Awesome. Okay, good. Thank you for that.
because we really are founded on cattle rearing.
Yeah, yeah, so interesting. No, thanks so much for your perspective on that. I feel like we could write obviously a whole book on it, but we were
We
limited to only like
could,
a page and a half or something, so we had to just come up with some
right.
high level points. So
and
really,
and
really
I think
appreciate
it's
you.
it's really captured wonderfully here. But the fact that we really did set out the plans were made in England before they even came for a cattle rearing company. And a lot of
Yeah,
people don't know that. There's not a lot written, but Curry does have a good account if you'd like
excellent.
to read it.
Thank you.
And
Excellent. All
that's
right. Well,
really
thanks,
about
Eva.
all I have on this end, unless there's anybody that has something for the commission that you need help with.
All right. Well, thank you. I don't in particular. Does anybody else have anything for Eva? No, I think that was really helpful though, Eva. And thanks for reviewing what was written.
Yeah, and thanks for keeping me in the loop.
We'll
All
continue to
right.
do
I'm
so.
gonna All right, so if I'm good, I'm gonna say good night. Thank
That's
you.
that's great.
Good night.
Good
Thank you.
night. Thank
Good
you.
Bye.
night.
Have a great
Bye.
night.
Excellent. Okay, that's great. So seeing no other citizens, then we're gonna move on to the meeting minutes as so we had a tag team effort to transcribe those and record those. Has everybody had a chance to review them? And are there any other comments or things that you'd like to add to the meeting minutes? Okay, hearing none, then I'd like to move to accept the minutes.
So moved.
There's David.
I
All right, and I'll second it.
Excellent. Thank you. David, you're just in time to get to the meat of the agenda.
well, I'm glad my timing was right. Excuse me for being a little late here. Yeah.
No worries. Glad to see you. Okay, so we just sitting there, we're brainstorming on the agenda and what be most appropriate. So we just kind of said action plan review, housekeeping, but really this is a plan. I think the plan review to kind of pull the dipstick to see where we're at. So last meeting, we agreed that we were going to try to button this up the best to our abilities and get this over to Merrimack Valley. The idea is that we'll give them the best draft that we can and then have them review it and then provide us with feedback to improve the draft. And then also see what else they could help us with because there's definitely some areas where we're not experts and there may be some shortcomings and where they've done this before. I think they could really help us develop this plan. Um, so everybody's been working on their sections. Sadie had a bunch of sections to add to it. So what we've done is now kind of taken everybody's sections were in PDF format, and we started to compile them all into one document. So I don't know if you've noticed, but in the Google folder, the Google Drive, there is now a folder, and it's a open space recreation plan draft. And if you go in there, there's a Google document, Word document, or a Google Word, I guess it is, with everything together. And it looks like Christina and Sadie have done some really good work starting to put that in, format it into our template that we had from earlier in the year. And then also, I haven't opened this yet, but there's, yeah, so Sadie inserted all the PDFs in the old versions. So that's all our work there. And so what we're proposing is now to start working on this Word document, seeing how everything's been pretty close, it's getting close anyways. And if you're going to work in the document, then we use essentially, which is a track changes, which if you're familiar with Microsoft Word, it's very similar. I think it's yeah, if you go into Google Word and then if in the upper right panel, so we can show you how to do this. I think we can share a screen, but you put in suggested edits, and essentially that's the same thing as track changes.
Yeah, I can share. Does anyone not know how to do that? Just to change from editing to suggesting mode. Does that make sense to everyone?
Why don't you go ahead and we can start looking
I can
at the document.
I can
I don't
share
want
it.
to yeah. I mean, I guess also I just want to check in with the committee before we just start diving in on the document. If people as long as people are on board with what we're doing and if they had any suggestion or input moving forward.
I just had a question, and that is, has there been, pardon me, any update to what was on what that document had on it as of, let's say, a week ago or something?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that people have put in some sections that they were working on. I know, like, for example, Sadie's got some of her stuff in here now.
Yeah, I put in some stuff for the executive summary and the intro. And like I think other than that, all the narrative sections are in there. It's just the action plan that we need to
Right. So
go
I
through.
guess that's what my question is in particular regard to is have you done anything different from stuff we saw a month ago
A little bit. So
in
Christina and I
terms,
started to tackle the that chapter 8. So it's needs, action plan, 10-year
yeah,
plan.
right.
Um, and so we've started an outline. It's rough, but it's also once I started digging in on it, I realized to task you with that section was a pretty big ask because there's that to me, that section is like the most important part of the plan. And it's where everything that we've been working on, all our sections kind of get come down into one section. So like the needs is going to refer back into some of the sections that we wrote. So like for example, and we can get to it. I don't want to jump ahead actually um because it we really need to draw on everybody to finish that section, I think. And so, again, jumping ahead, what my plan was is that we can kind of go through the document as it is now, and we can look at the stuff that Sadie's done. There's more work to be done. And then when we get down to that section 8, we can kind of identify what's the best way to finish that section. And I think it would be either all of us or a few of us kind of chipping in together to finish that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Right.
can we just like list off the different sections where there's new text, just so everybody is aware?
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
So yeah, so this document is new as of a few days ago because it's everything compiled into one. We didn't have that before. So I entered in section 1, 2. I entered in the climate change section in section 4, and Bill and Christina added things to section 6 and the chart, like the baseline chart for the action plan section. And I believe those are all the things that are new from last meeting.
Yeah, and I added in section 4, I did all of my changes in track changes. So you'll see, any new text that I wrote into section 4 is in tracked changes.
Okay, so let me ask a dumb question, being the digital idiot that I am often. And that is if you go into this document, what I was finding difficult, and I guess that's what my original question was about, difficult to find out how recent it is. Where's it, where's its um where's its identifier that tells you that this is, the document as of 2 days ago that I couldn't find. Maybe
There's a date in the title of the document, but you can also, I'm actually not sure how to do it, but you can see like version history. I think
Probably starting now. I'm not sure. Does it go back before? So the date of the document is in the title. It's the 15th of February. And that's what was online for everybody's sections as of like last week.
okay. All right, so I need to find the document if I while we're doing that. So please go ahead. That answers my question.
okay. Do you guys want me to share and just, briefly
Yeah, I think
run
that would
through
be
it?
helpful.
Okay.
And maybe show where you're getting it from in the folder. So like don't like go back up a little
Yes,
bit
I
and
will.
go into Google Docs.
That was a good idea. Okay.
And while Sadie's doing that, the version history is on the file menu. You go down to version
Mm.
history and see version history. So
Okay,
when you're looking at the doc, go to File, Version History.
good to know. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, so I'm in this folder, and then I go to OSRP draft. And then these are all the old individual versions of our sections. And then I've just put this here, the final like document. And then, yeah, what Jim was saying, if you want to see the version history, you go to File and then Version History. And then you click See Version History and you can see different edits. So we did upload it today, but it's been a couple days in the making. And then to change the mode, so right now I'm in editing mode, so like changes I make, you can't really tell. But if I go to suggesting and then I delete stuff, it'll show like that I made an edit, if that makes sense. So yeah, we can start. This will have to be filled in. List of figures as well. Yeah, if you all want to, check this section out or read anything or add anything, please feel free.
Yeah, and just as you do it, just leave this suggested,
Yeah.
track changes so other people can see that you've added to it and they can review it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we talking about like content changes versus, I know we talked about at one point, like, the flow from section to section of a singular voice or style. That's later on, right? Like the sort of, I don't know what to call that exactly, but and we're just talking about stuff now to review. So before we hand off to MVPC, like just doing one final check on content gaps, if we want to call it that, or maybe corrections that are like grammatical within an existing, with the paragraph that we just feel should be changed now. Is that right? We're not doing like, the final
We're not
column.
down to the final voice or flow or
Yeah.
anything. We're kind of
Yeah,
like sending it over to Merrimack Valley and see how
Right.
far they can get it.
Yeah, we're not trying to change a sentence around so that it's more consistent with the previous sentence.
I think, yeah, they want to catch us before, like,
Exactly. I
think we don't need to put too much more time into the narrative section because I'm sure that they will have comments that will need to, we'll have edits to do. So
yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was
yeah,
clear that we're just doing a quick scan just to make sure one final
right
thing before we send it. Great.
Yes, that's a good clarification. Yeah, so this is definitely in the rough draft stage, but it's a start.
So,
And-
Sadie,
Yes.
I think it's a quick question.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing here, this is you're editing this in Word, or is this the Google editor?
This is the Google Doc that everyone has access to.
No, okay, let me ask again. When I click on this thing on my phone, it comes up in the Google Docs editor, which I don't think is the same as the one I'm looking at here.
Okay.
But not that that's a big issue.
I think it is
It's the same.
Yeah, I think it is the same.
I'm just not seeing any icons at all, and there's no file menu or anything. All the information I think is there. I've been able to find, well, just about everything.
It's because it's the phone. It's going to have not display as much by default when you're viewing it. You can and you're not going to be able to get to all the different file top menu options. That is correct. You'd have to open it in a desktop.
Yeah, I think a desktop is definitely easier to make edits and things like that. But I think on a phone, if you need to make an edit, there should be like a little pencil icon in the bottom right or somewhere. I just can't remember off the top of my head where it is, but
Okay, there's a viewing mode. I don't know if that's it, but it still doesn't look the same. It doesn't really matter. I just want to read through it. I don't. And
Okay.
if I do have anything, I did notice that I can use the same thing as before, which is just to leave the little comments,
Mhm.
and that's what we're pretty
Yeah,
much what we're doing, right?
that works.
To just interrupt a minute. Huh, okay, I guess I'm feeling a little bit here from the outside looking in, and I'm finding that a group of you are very familiar with this Google document issue and move around very comfortable in it. Others of us, obviously being me, and I'm hearing now maybe Sean a little bit in a different sense, um, have some issues. And one of my issues is that, as far as I can see, I have a link which which was from a previous, I think, email from Sadie. And when I use that link, what happens is it wants me to go into my Google account, okay, which is a pain in the butt in the first place. Okay.
I'm happy to send anything like I guess at this very stage, we're not going to be doing too much editing. It's just kind of a review of what we have so far. So I can send it to you as a Word doc if that's easier. You,
Well,
David and Sean.
yes and no in the sense that, okay, so I went looking for some stuff, and obviously it was a couple of days. Okay, the document I've now opened has, as Christina pointed out, 2026-0215, which is 2 days ago, right? Well, the
Mhm.
last time I opened it, the date was considerably before that. Now, I can't remember. It was probably a week or a little more ago. I've been doing a lot of things, as you might imagine, so I'm not quite sure which day it was. Anyway, my point is that I go into this one, which, if again I'm hearing rightly from Christina, is sort of the latest one because it has the date on it. And I go into section 6, management needs C, right, which is the analysis of needs. Okay. And it's blank. Well, it wasn't blank before. What's happening? You see what I'm saying? In other words, I don't know whether I'm looking at
So,
something which is truly today's issue or whether it's something that somehow isn't right. Because before it seemed to me there was things in there. Now maybe they've been taken out, and I've no way of really knowing that. Maybe there is a way, but I couldn't find it.
Well, we can just open it up. I guess, Sadie, do you know if there was anything in section 6 that didn't get sent over in Word, so it hasn't been added?
Um, I don't, there wasn't a section 6 uploaded before. But let me see. I can look in my
I
Yeah,
guess
Well, I
I don't see a section 6 that was already drafted.
So the only section 6 information we had, David, you did send some notes on
yeah, right. So
those were you sent those out to us as an attachment in email, and so they weren't incorporated yet.
I think it's possible that I misinterpreted what you had sent, David.
well, I was reacting to something. That's what you see,
I didn't think it was I thought it was comments, not um
yeah,
not like actual content you wanted included.
um, well, okay. So this is part, I think, of, for me, the issue here, and I'm only concerned that to some degree, not so much that what I think or don't think doesn't get in there. I can deal with that when it gets to be a big final draft. I'm just thinking that people are, I'm not trying to blame anyone, but I'm trying to, what I'm thinking is people are off operating with some different assumptions as to what's going on and what's happening, and how my comments about that I sent out were based on something that I was reacting to. They had to have been. Let's see, wait a minute. Okay, I've got a copy of them here. Um, okay. Which were in relation to the 26th meeting there. Um, okay. Yeah, so that's what I was doing, and what I just wondered where that where that got reconciled. That's all. And now I understand the status of the document is essentially up there in the date line. But is there any other way of getting into this document except for the cumbersome way, from my perspective, of having to use a Google account and then and that means you've got to use a browser in my world anyway. You guys working on something I that's sexier than my system, probably likely.
No,
Yes.
it's just the really without us all being on a shared network, it's kind of the only way we can all work on the same thing, at the same time. If we were
Yeah.
all town employees and had access to like the town file system, it would be different. But because we're not, this is like kind of the best way for us to all have access to the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, I think also I mean, and I'm sure I or somebody else or Sadie can maybe walk you through real quick on your machine, the best way to do it. The beauty of this Google Docs, besides we all have access to it, is that it's almost like a living document. So as we make, like I can click in, I just saw Jim's clicked in. I can see where Jim's working right now as he's clicked around with his, like, so I can see like we're all working together at the same time. And then with the suggested edits, we can also see what people have done.
It's
So
probably not that easy on an iPad or a phone. It's probably much easier on a physical computer, regardless
Right.
if it's a Mac or a PC, that doesn't matter. But I would imagine a iPad or a phone might be difficult for this.
Yeah, well, I'm using in this case, I mean, I'm using a computer, with two screens, so I don't have lots, I can have lots of stuff up at once. Okay, well, I just needed perhaps to go through these questions which were out there for me, and now at this point, why don't let me listen along to where you're going. I my residual concerns simply will be if one has reactions that appear in this document, but they're lengthy, which one of the reasons I sent out the email was because I didn't think I ended up with a Word document which basically fills a page. And the Google thing isn't designed for that, in my estimation. Is it?
Yeah, I read your comments, David, and they were all really good comments. And actually, when we get to section 6, I think that it's really good information that needs to be incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
So again, in this Google Docs, if you have like a short thing, even a paragraph comment you want to make about a section, you can put that in a comment still. You don't have to, so there's track
Yeah.
changes where you can go in and actually manipulate some of the paragraph or text, or you can add a comment and then we'll all see it. Or do exactly what you did, send an email, and then we can review that. Because I fully intend to look at your email when I'm looking at and I'm reviewing, say, analysis of needs and make sure that like protecting the upper and lower green, no brainer, right? We got to do that. And that's going to go in there. And that's what your
Okay.
comment said.
Right.
You could also legit type your like right into the text and we
Right.
would see that it was from you. And you could even say like, commenting on this, and you could put a whole paragraph in there. We would see that that was your response to something. If you didn't want to do it, well, it would still show up as a track change. So it would like have a little call out that would show us that it came from you, but you could physically type it right into the Word document, and it would just highlight that. Like, I'm looking at section 4, and Christina made a bunch of edits, and it shows up in purple on my computer. Things that she's deleted are still there. They just have a line through them, and then new text is just there in purple, and I could see that that came from her, and those are her changes. In this instance, they're her changes, but you could also simply add a paragraph in there of your thoughts that we could then, either incorporate into the text or, change our text based on your comments, if that was an easy way for you to get that out to all of us.
Okay, so so it does allow direct editing into the text.
Yep.
Okay.
We
right.
all have edit permission, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the only thing is that Sadie gave a really good suggestion that you don't stay, like she's sharing her screen right now, up at the top right when you open it, that you change the editing view to suggesting view, because you are going to suggest some edits. And if you click that, then we'll be able to see David Powell suggests that we add this paragraph in here.
Yeah, like this is what it will look like here when you delete something. Like it'll still be there, but the line will just be through it.
Yeah.
And
then it'll say
you
this.
get that you have to turn on suggest changes mode
Yes.
Yeah.
if you're using a phone. Okay.
If you were in
Alright, 'cause-
editing mode, you'd be actually wiping out,
Right.
or you'd be it would be not as clear, right, Christina? That's what you're saying.
Right.
Right.
You would-
right. We
yeah.
wouldn't be able to find the changes that you made, and everybody
Exactly.
wants to review them. So
Yeah, because up to now, the only thing I've been doing is adding the little blocks that pop up. That's the only place I put anything.
yeah, can you
Um,
still do that? Can you still just add comments to the side, Sadie? How do you do it?
Yeah.
That's the
Yep.
plus. Yeah. Right in the column there. Yeah.
It's here
Or-
you can
yep.
add a comment.
Oh,
Or
okay,
this.
so it's add a comment. I see it.
It also appears there on the
Is it this? No, that's not it.
No, it's like it's right at the edge of the page there on the right margin. Like if you highlight some text, you'll see it briefly pop up, the little comment symbol. If you go, anyway.
There's just
Yeah.
yeah. Here's
Doesn't-
here's another way to do it.
Right.
That's most likely what
What did I just do?
All right. Okay.
Just ignore me. Okay. I am happy to help anyone with technology at any time. If anything else comes up, please just reach out to me. But in the interest of time, I think we should move to content discussion. So yeah, we have the executive summary. It's a rough one. It's a rough draft, but I think I can make some changes this week, and my goal is to send MVPC a draft of the narrative sections by Thursday, by the end of the day. So
Yeah, and Sadie, my gut is executive summary. We usually write last, like
That
after
too,
we've really
yeah.
gotten our heads around what is in the document, and then we can provide a summary of it. So I would
Very
say
true.
not to feel pressure to
Okay.
too much on the executive summary this week.
Sounds good. Thank you. It's a good reminder.
So
Yes.
you want all our comments on this by Thursday? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if they're, I don't want people to rush through anything, because we'll definitely have the chance to talk through, other changes. And I know that, sections 3, 4, and 5 have been like beaten to death with edits. So I think that if you have any very last minute things, then yes, maybe by Thursday. it would
But
be
not
good.
like us addressing all the comments that get made, or that too. Like I'm not gonna be able to go through this whole document and do stuff by Thursday. I'm not gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's one working night to do that, and
Yeah.
if it snows tomorrow, that's what I'm doing. So
Yeah, whatever, I guess, whatever you can get done by Thursday,
Okay.
please do, but don't, don't freak out trying to get it done because there will be a chance. But MVPC has really just been like, please send us something. So like I figured I would just send them, what we have now.
Okay.
And like, we could, keep picking, but I think it would be good to send them, what we have. So if you have things that you want to fix by Thursday, then please do. I'll just, download this document and send it in an email. So
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think we were talking about just because they're gonna actually be able to help create some content for us and help, I think. So I would like to have it a little bit more finished, but I think at this point, let's just get it to them. And like this last section again, 6, I guess is analysis of needs. That's we're gonna keep working on that even after we send this first part out to them.
yeah, definitely.
And they've offered to look at this more than once, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And just a question, so you're getting this out to them on Thursday, when do you think they'll be responding, or when do you think we'd have something to
Um,
review?
I imagine they'll get back to us within, a couple weeks. They haven't
Okay.
really explained how long it would take them, but I think they know what they're doing. I think they'll have, a pretty
Okay.
expert eye when reviewing, so it probably won't take them that long. I was hoping that I know their environmental team will review it. I'm just not sure exactly which person on the team will. So I was thinking, um, I think I've been in communication with Kay Emery on the environmental team at MPPC. So I think she will be reviewing it, and I was hoping that she will join our next meeting to talk through any, major edits or things like that. So
And so Sadie, just to, flag it again, like I've got sections in my section 4 that I'm like, MVPC, can you do this? MVPC, can you do that? So if
yes.
anybody has any other requests that they want MVPC to do, like to, the next 48 hours is the time for you to make sure that you've got that in there. I know Sadie flagged that, 3 or 4 weeks ago. So maybe you've already done it, but this is also a good time to wrap up any things that we want them to do.
Yes. Yeah, any data or, stats or tables that you think they could supplement, then yeah, please feel free to just like highlight or make a note of it somehow. So
Not to put too
moving,
fine a point on this, but when we send this off to MVPC, that's pretty much going to signal when we would, it seems like we wouldn't want to be making any more changes to the document until we get it back from them. Am I missing a point there
I
somewhere?
think that would be good, yeah. So
Okay.
just yeah, don't worry
So
about making
we
any
get 2
comments
weeks off then.
after Thursday.
Yep.
Um,
We get
I
2
think
weeks of deserved vacation. Okay. Great.
yes. And Kristen and I talked for a while today about how we'll continue in the next month or so. And
Oh, great.
I told her that, we've all been, working on this action plan brainstorming document and, everyone's, made comments and added things in. And Christina and Bill made that great action plan, grid template in the larger draft document.
Mhm.
So Kristen and I had talked about taking this document that we have and, comparing it with the old
Oh,
open space plan and just kind of, you know, creating a baseline action plan that we can then talk to MVPC about. So it's got more of an organized structure when we bring it to MVPC for, guidance. And we don't think that that would be able to be finished by Thursday, but, we'll give them the narrative sections. They can start reviewing that, and then we can work on the action plan, me and Kristen. And then once, we hear back from them about the narrative, then we can send them the action plan and be like, where do you think we are with this draft? So I think that would be a good course of action for the next couple weeks. And then we can come together again after we've got all that review and make the edits we need to. Cool. So, I guess we can continue going through this. So I think section 3 is close to done. We got some highlighted stuff for MVPC to review.
Was that for MVPC or was that for us to review and make some decisions? I know that there's some questions.
Yep. So that's a good question, Christina. I originally, before we talked about handing off to MVPC, I had kind of that highlighted in the sense that that's additional information we could put there, but do we really feel like it's important to call out in this section? In part because, the suggested length was 3 pages. I know we don't have to stick to that for sure, but so it got into more demographic information that just maybe, if you're really talking about, there are references to sort of demographics and different segments of the population scattered throughout that section in other areas, but this is basically borrowing from the previous plan and saying they also included data on that, but it was 20 plus pages. So, and I didn't have the data, readily available, even at least through the sites I was looking at. So I didn't want to, do a deep dive on something that might not be relevant. It might be better just to see what MVPC says and, can leave it at that. Some of this is also all in it's in the master plan, so it would be very redundant in that sense. But it's not quite, it wasn't copy and pasteable, I guess, in a succinct way.
Yeah. No, I would say that if it's not like, even though it was in the last plan, if it wasn't specifically called out in the workbook as being required in this plan, then
Yeah.
my gut says, like, let's not even spend the time trying to create it from scratch.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I had it highlighted to sort of really question whether we want to have it. Since, again, since it is in the master plan also, and it starts to get a little bit away from the idea of open space, even though we want to call out certain populations as either being challenged or, having future needs and so on. But I think those are called out, in text as opposed to, defining them in more detail here.
Yeah, just even looking at the review checklist that the workbook has for section 3, it's like general physical location, open space and recreation resources, and then in terms of population, it's density, age, income, EJ population is not applicable.
Exactly.
And then growth and development patterns is just infrastructure, bike paths, water, zoning, and ecological impact. So yeah, if none of those things, I don't think any of those things pop on that list. Does anybody disagree with like just wiping that right out of this?
I'm happy to exclude it right now. That would be great.
Does anybody disagree?
No, I think you've got it, Christina.
So that checklist you have is actually really useful, and I haven't looked at that in a while. Before we send that over to Merrimack Valley, it wouldn't hurt to just kind of zip through that and see how we're doing. And if we're missing spots, we can identify that, and that's something that we can work on in the meantime, maybe. So maybe everybody can take a look at it and then look at this document, or maybe Sadie before you send it out, at least something that you could buzz through to see if we're falling short anywhere.
That is true. I will do that.
I can, as you can see, I'm highlighting it. I can just get rid of it right now if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
He's
There you
gonna
go.
do it.
First
Alright.
move edit. Woo.
Just to see it.
He's in
Russ is-
editing mode, so it's gone.
Oh, good. And that is gone. You're absolutely right. Yep. Good point. Good call out.
Undo.
That works. That works for this purpose, I think. Alrighty. Moving on through the section. This I think is us editing, right?
Yeah, and that again is that was something to discuss in the group here. And
Okay.
I did not get like, there's a little bit of overlap, not a little bit, there is overlap with other sections in terms of if we're talking about like infrastructure, there's mentions of, the roadways, sidewalks, other things. But then if you get to, I did not include anything about like water access. We had, certainly the refuge access and everything that's highlighted there, as well as get too much into the active recreation stuff. So I didn't put it in here because, I was kind of saying maybe section 3 isn't, we can, you can have a paragraph that just references it. I know, Mike, like in your section with the parcels, you also referenced some stuff around like roads and sidewalks and things. So, there's just the references in other areas. So I just had sort of run out of steam and didn't have, was sort of just deciding maybe it's not worth putting in here.
My gut says that we should write something about water
Okay.
infrastructure. It calls out in the checklist
Okay,
water
yeah.
infrastructure for recreation
It
and
does,
for
right.
needed for conservation. And I think that if we ever did say like want to add a canoe, like I think David, one of your comments on the action and needs is that we need more access to water. So I feel like it would be good to write something that says like we have these things now, but demand for outdoor activities has increased so much that we need more, which will like lay the foundation for us to make that as part of our needs and our action and then going for money for it. So that's what my gut says. I'm happy to try and write a few sentences if it's helpful, Jim, or help you write a few sentences in the next.
I mean, I can definitely do it. I thought I had seen some references in other sections, and that's why I wasn't putting it. But I can, if you have, like, so I'm happy to do that.
I'll like do some things off the top of my head and I'll email them to you and you can use them or not.
If you want to do that, that's great. Okay,
Okay,
sure.
I'll just email them
there's-
to you.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like there is a little overlap in other sections, maybe that Mike touched on a little bit in section 5, but also remember in our survey that was identified as a need for the town. So it's, and in the action items or needs, we'll reference that for sure. So it's definitely important.
Good. Okay.
All right, awesome.
I do need to run. I apologize. So.
Oh yeah, you said.
Short.
No
Yeah.
worries.
Just got through your section. Perfect timing.
I know.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Sorry. Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Thanks,
See you, Jim.
Jim.
Bye.
Alrighty. Section 4 does have some things for MVPC, which I'll definitely point to. Yeah, feel free to stop me if I'm scrolling past anything you guys want to talk about, but
So I think that I'll just go in and clean up those things. I think I made those comments back in the previous iteration, the January 20th iteration.
mhm.
I incorporated some comments that committee members had made. And so I'm just going to accept the changes that I made because I don't think I've seen any comments on them to this point. So if anybody wants another chance to take a look at it, let me know and I can hold off.
Okay. Sounds good. I think that applies basically to the rest of your section. Climate section is here that I've added. Can feel free to peruse it. I need to cite. my source that I added. It's
Yeah, that was
basically,
a question I had, Sadie, about references, because
Mhm.
so how are we feeling about that section? And I don't want to jump ahead, but do we need people
No,
to
that's
go
fine.
back and cite any references, or is that just something we can
Um,
send out to Merrimack Valley but on our own if we need to?
I wanted to actually ask everyone, I'll ask Jim over email, but if anyone has sources that they've cited that are not like referenced in the text somewhere, like MVP plan, like in the text, if you have something like a stat or something, feel free to paste it into the references section, which is at the end somewhere. Yeah. So I've cited some things that I've done. Um I've definitely not cited everything that I've used, but it's a start. Um so yeah, there's a section for it. I'm gonna ask MPPC about like format. I'm not, I have no idea what format to use, but they'll definitely know, and then we can kind of um make it uniform and everything after we consult with them. So that's my plan. Just if you have anything, please just enter it in. Um, so yeah, where were we?
Sadie, one
Yes.
thing I was gonna, I don't know, kind of suggest about the references is,
Mhm.
um, okay, I guess it's more of a general question. Um, are we trying to, just make a list of all of the reference material that we included? Or are we trying to draw an association between what we've included in that reference sections and where it's used in the document? Are we going to be doing both of those things, or just the list?
Um, I'm not sure what is the best course of action there. It might be good for now to, like, if you know where in the text you used the reference to like keep track, just in case we need to do that. But I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to the question. Um,
Okay. I mean, all I've been doing is putting the references in that section. So
I think that's
I
fine.
haven't, okay. So,
Like, I'm
Can
not
I make a
100% sure, but I think that's okay. Yeah.
can I
I
make a
mean, it was,
practical suggestion?
Yeah. Sure.
To resolve this, look at how other towns have accomplished.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have not dived into how we're gonna do references, but
Yeah.
that is a good idea.
Well, yeah, this relates to a larger question, which I just want to throw out before I really need to leave shortly. And that is that I think it's important that you are clear about what it is you're asking the commission, MVPC, to actually do, because you can't expect them to go through the document in regards to data and information. Um,
Well,
uh,
we've like made it pretty clear where they need to supplement information. I'm gonna like point to page numbers and be like, we are missing information here. Can you provide this, like particular piece? But I think they're gonna do a pretty comprehensive review if that's what you mean.
well, yeah, but what is it? Okay, what does that mean? In other words, are they reviewing it for um, the accuracy of the information, the update of the information, or are they also, I think, much more to be perfectly honest, much more helpful to a group like an open space committee. Are they reviewing it in relation to their experience of the current pattern and acceptance rate within both this regional area and any others they're aware of, in terms of how people have been handling this, because that's what you're up against in terms of getting it through the state hurdle. Okay, the state doesn't know mostly where we are or care. They simply care that we hit a number of objectives which they're looking for, and that essentially, yes, the local regional people have looked at it and have blessed it. And so all I'm suggesting is that, yes, it's important that they help us with data, but it's their value is much better in, I think, not better, but their best value is saying, okay, let us make a couple of suggestions about how you're handling X, Y, or Z based on our experience. And if they know that's what maybe you decide you're not, but in my recommendation would be that's the expertise, that's the experience which they have outside of this, because it has struck me over the last couple of decades working with similar committees like this in towns other than both including Newbury and other towns. And that is the one fatal mistake they make all of the time is they don't look at what else is happening around them. And the people who have experience about this or should have that experience are your regional planners.
That's
which
what we're going to
means-
tap into them for, David. Yep, you got it. That's what they're going to do.
Okay, so with that thought, I think you're tussling with a somewhat unwieldy creature who doesn't always want to bend in the way you might like. But I think you're all doing, a good job, and will experience a little more frustration probably before the goal is reached. But keep at it, and if I can help more by being avuncular, I will. And at the same time, I think it is coming together. But you need to make sure you're all striving for the same sort of goal, I think, which I think is part of the operation tonight. Okay, so good night and thanks for listening.
Bye, David.
Thanks, David. See you.
All right, thanks for
you.
your input and your help.
I just looked really quickly at two of the plans that have been approved by the state in the last couple of years, just from the list. And both of them have one page of resources, and it's just a list. It doesn't have citations to page numbers or blah, blah, blah. It's just like, we looked at the master plan. We looked at the, Mass GIS,
That's
US
that's great
Census
news.
Bureau. Like, it's very, very minimalistic.
Yeah, I think
So I
that's,
think what you guys have is looking good.
I think that's the big difference between today and 10 years ago, is I think the state has recognized the burden and tried to make it a little lighter.
Yep.
Mhm.
Just their checklist alone now compared to like the old one is just, not as detailed as like the 2010 one had to be, 2009 one.
Yeah. It looks like they're approving them faster too, because there's a whole bunch of ones that have shown up in the last year or so since I last looked at the list.
So the list you shared, the town of Hudson with us, and for me, that's been really helpful to have like the big picture, what it's supposed to look like. Where do you have the list of all the other ones that have been approved?
You can, is there a chat function? No. You can just go to just Massachusetts Open Space and Rec Plan, like just their main page, the state's page, and they just have a bunch of links. And then there's open space and rec plan status. Thanks, Sadie.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it. I haven't.
Oh, he went by. Right, like after Appendix F. So it just shows what's been approved. It doesn't actually have the link to the plan, but then you can just go to the town website and find their plan. So I just looked at what was I at? I already got rid of it. One of the A's or B's. I started at the top. I think I looked at Bolton. They're kind of a similar size to us, and Abington. I don't know where Abington is. They are long, unwieldy documents. I won't like spend a lot of time talking tonight, but I just wanted to just like really appreciate what you guys are all doing, because it is not an easy process to struggle through group writing of plans, which is what you're all doing. I looked at it today. Sadie and I have talked a lot along the way. I think it is in good shape. I think we'll definitely get MVPC staff to like really like hone in on how do we tighten this up and get it going. And I know, Sadie, sorry, I had to get on another phone call for a minute, but I think you were talking about like the next phase of the action plan. And I would be happy if you guys are all comfortable with that. I was just saying to Sadie, like, let's take all the pieces you have, like you've got in these documents, the chart, bring in what you have from your action plan brain dumping from everything, and then just like share it around in the same way. But if you guys are comfortable with that, I'm happy to work with Sadie on that and then get it into a draft, as Sadie said, like over the next couple of weeks, that we could work on that while MVPC is working on like the narrative and the data and all the rest of it. Sound?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that sounds great. That was kind of where I was going to end the meeting, is like somehow we're all going to have to do that. But if you can help us with it, that would be huge. You guys are definitely well versed in this area, so I'm definitely up for that.
I do, yeah. So Sadie's as super busy as I am these days, but I think it's there. So I think just like finding some hours to draft it. I mean, you guys have, I know how much work you've all done. So I think it's all in there. I do tend to think, I know there's been discussion about not going back to the old plan and like hashing it through line by line. Like, do we want to keep that? Do we not want to keep that? But I would certainly think, in my head at least, looking at what you had before that was approved before, and just at least like that top level of goals, open space rec plans aren't, they all kind of will have a lot of the same stuff, right? They'll have farmland, they'll have wildlife habitat, they'll have climate resiliency. So we can bring in those top level goals, and then all the details that you've all gathered through the public meetings and you're diving in, that'll be like the really powerful bit of, identifying the real actions and then the responsibility and the priorities. That'll be where, both everything you've learned over the process, but then that'll be going back out to the public, right? Like we're going to need to aim towards giving the public a chance to review all those action items. So I think the narrative and all the documentation is in great shape.
Well, thanks. I agree. As I was starting to try to brainstorm around this last section, and so I guess, I mean, we put some thought into it. So if we can help, and I think we can relay those to you, and Sadie, certainly help you guys with that section. I mean, you can kind of see the outline that may look a little familiar to you, because I mean, we were looking at the Hudson plan and we thought that was a really nice layout, how they presented it. So we're trying to follow that somewhat format, that flow. So
Is
anyways,
that that's in the draft? That's what,
yep,
yeah. I mean, that looked perfect to me.
I thought it was good too. So that's kind of what we're headed with. The, you know, in the in that section, you have to hit on certain things, right? So in the analysis of needs would be natural resources, protection needs. What's the other ones?
Community outdoor rec needs and management needs.
Yeah, there you go. Right. And so then we just started filling in some talking points basically about those things that came to our mind. And then, but that was by nowhere complete, right? And then we just took those and just broke them down into the goals, really. So it's just, that's our train of thought. So you just take what we identified above and then bring it down into our goals. And then that last one was that table is really the timeline.
Mhm.
So just explain the needs to the goals again to me, Bill.
Well,
Can you scroll up,
yeah,
Sadie?
go ahead, Sadie.
Yes.
So these are some needs that were identified through certain sources, data sources, right? So through the surveys. A lot of it comes out of the master plan because they did a survey and there was a lot of crossover in there. So you can pull from that. We've had conversations with committees, stakeholders, and so these are the things that have been identified. And so that's what my thought would be our analysis of needs. And so these, by no means, this list is just like an example of things that we were thinking of that. So, and that underneath, say, important farmland, there would be like, a few sentences underneath that it was identified in the master plan and also in the survey as this is, unique to and important to Newbury, right? And so then if you scroll down, Sadie.
So the need is like to preserve important farmland, or like we're
Yeah.
losing farmland, or what?
Yeah, I think it's a resource that's been identified to important to the people in the town. So it's something that needs protection, conservation, or at least consideration. So then, and then, so well, the goal could be, let's say, yeah, protect and maintain Newbury's existing farmlands or something. And then we could, underneath that goal would be like an objective, how to accomplish that. And we could like group farmlands in with like other types of open space and lands too, but that's the idea, the thought process behind how to make this flow. And then once we identified those goals, then it goes into that table in the underneath. And that's part of the 10-year plan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this looks great to me. I don't, we can, if you want to do any more on it, and then we'll carry it on, or if you want us to kind of take this structure and then share it back with you, that's fine.
Yeah. I guess like in your mind, I mean, does that make sense? I mean, you say it looks good. Do you think that works for how you were thinking of doing it?
Yeah, I haven't really thought through the connection. Like, I guess if I might have started looking at the old plan in terms of the goals, because again, I think the goals are probably going to be pretty consistent with with what every plan shows up as goals. And I think the specificity is sort of on the lower levels. But I haven't really thought it through more than that.
That's a really good point because when I look at other open space plans, I'm like, man, I could copy and paste this into our section. It's like you're right. Open space plans kind of say the same thing, don't they? Everybody kind of wants the same stuff when it comes to open space.
I mean, I think it's like protection, there's like acquisition and preservation and action, and then there's stewardship, and there's, protecting what you have and enhancing what you have and providing, the public benefit related to it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, again, there's a lot that can be under it, but the overarching stuff is probably pretty consistent across all the plans that you'd look at.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, and that's that when my approach to this section would have been, and what could be, I guess, but would have been, is kind of come up with these overarching, these high level things, and then go through all this data. Like Sadie has the 10-year plan brain dump. I was going to take that and incorporate that in. I was going to take
Yeah.
David's memo that he sent to us and incorporate that because that was representative of conversations he had with a lot of different people and stuff. So yeah, no, I think we're on the exact same page, really.
I also think that like the specificity is in sort of the prioritization, right? It's like, well, we're always going to want to protect farmland, but what do we think right now? And then thinking about it in terms of that 10-year, like, I don't know if they use high, medium, low, or, you know, near term, medium term, long term, or whatever, but like 1 to 3 years, like that's kind of a good chunk to think of under each of your goals. What do you want to do in the next 3 years? Like that's, I think, where this group and again, all the data gathering that you've done will really like come to bear to make it our plan, right? Like this is what we want to do. We want to talk to all the owners of Chapter 61A land and make sure they understand what an agricultural preservation restriction is. That's like a near-term thing, you know, and then you just kind of go through each one and figure that out. But I think that's you know, I remember talking with David about this, you know, a while ago now, probably a couple years ago, this effort. And I just feel like that's where the teeth is. And that's where the power of the action plan is really setting forth, you know, anyway, the near-term goals and, you know, how are you going to get there? Sadie and I were also talking about, I know part of this is where are you going to get funding? And you know, we could probably come up with like a list. And actually, we checked Mike, like Greenbelt does this all the time. Like, you know, where's our private foundations? What are our state grants? What does, you know, the community one stop at the state level have in terms of funding opportunities? But you could come up with that like general list. But I kind of think in order to know, you know, you have to come up with your action item first to be like what's the thing you need to fund? And then you go search for your money to match it rather than saying like, oh, there are these grants. What are we going to do with money? I really think the driver being, you know, what the need is and the specific project. Like, do we need more money for a summer intern, right? Like, do we need a stewardship dedicated person? Do we need a GIS person? What are the things, you know, is it a capital cost? Do we want to build a boardwalk at Caldwell Farm because the trail gets your feet really wet? Like the real specificity is then can we fill that column in that chart?
So I guess then I guess the challenge there is identifying potential funding sources where this is so new to the town. I mean, grants sound great to me, but I don't know how easily or even what's out there. I know DSC administers a lot of different grants, right? Is that just like what we identify as a funding source when we don't really know, or?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be a good one to look at other plans too, because there's not millions of them, right? But I think you can get creative with a project. Like, say we wanted to, you know, build bigger, you know, roadside kiosks at every town-owned property. That's like a chunk of capital money. Like you'd have to find a grant that, you know, lets you buy a bunch of wood. But maybe we could find, you know, retired carpenters who, you know, would love to do a tangible, you know, rewarding project. And then, you know, you kind of put it together. But yeah, my guess is that column is probably pretty similar from plan to plan.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That was helpful.
Anyway, I'm talking too much, but
No, we
I
need
think
a
we're
little,
close.
yeah. No, it's good. That's informative to everybody. I think it was for me anyways. Appreciate it.
I don't know if, yeah, like I don't know. I guess the development of the goals, I think, will be something we'll definitely want feedback on. So maybe we can start with that, kind of coming at it from both directions. What Bill, you and Christina have started here, but then also looking at the old plan and just trying to make sure we capture the universe. And then once we're kind of comfortable with that, just filling in all those brain dump action items and organizing it a little bit and then sending it back around.
Do you think that's practical to have done by the next meeting in a month? That'd be a good thing to talk about.
Sure. Why not?
I don't want to avoid you guys though.
There's nothing else. No. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we just got to start, right?
I mean, even if it's not complete, it'd be a really great start, I think.
Yeah, I'm happy to put some time in to get something drafted that's more fleshed out. I know, Sadie, you also wanted to probably talk about maps a little bit at the next meeting.
Yes.
That-
So Abby from Greenbelt is working on them. They're not done yet, she said, but and I told her, we'd love to have you come to the meeting where we, talk about them so that you can answer any questions that come up. And she said she'd love to join the next one. So, if we think we'll have enough time, then we can add her to the agenda.
Did you guys have a date? Remind me. Is it a month from now?
Yeah, we usually do what every third Tuesday of the month.
Yeah. So I think that's the 17th.
17, yeah. So I actually know I'm not going to be available to come to that meeting. But so I'll do some work in advance and then you guys can figure out what makes sense for that agenda.
Okay.
I did want to just mention on the maps front, the town annually does updates with Merrimack Valley Planning Commission GIS team for the parcel data, for the assessors data. And so Sadie and I have been working with Jason, the assessor, to, send that info up to MVPC. And we included in this year, making sure we got all those open space updates. Included the Chapter 61 lands and other, ownership of open space where there were things that need editing and updating. So they just sent us a link Friday afternoon to MyMap. So they've brought all that new open space data into the MyMap layer. So my request to all of you, especially Mike, because you work so hard on those lists that you provided the input on, but check it out now and just, whatever time you have, look at parts of town that you know who owns that open space and just quality check things and see how it's looking. We also can make sort of requests regarding the cartography of it. Like if you really hate the color of a layer, one request I had made was it was really hard to tell the different greens in the ownership of the open space. So they have modified that a little, so check that out. There's like new hatching for conservation restrictions. There's like a speckled dotting for all the chapter 61 lands. So
We can review that through the town website, the updated stuff now, or is there, you said a link?
it's the live
Okay.
publicly accessible MyMap link. Yeah. And we can send that around. I think if you,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure if it's higher up on the town website, but I know if you go to the planning department page, you can get it down the sidebar that says My Map. So yeah, I've seen a couple of things already. So I do think we'll just all need to quality control it. And it's the second we get it updated, something will change, but we just had to call it a thing. And then I think hopefully annually from this point on, at this time of year, we'll make sure that open space updates get pulled into the regular parcel updating with MVPC. And that data is what will be making the maps for your final open space rec plan as well. So this is going to be the point in time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when you say my map, that's MIMAP?
Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
ask Sean if that was making sense to you, if you've spent much time on it.
I'm just looking through it now just to see if I can.
Yeah, you can go to like a layers,
Oh, here we go. Okay.
maybe.
Hmm,
I don't know how long you're
I
meeting.
never go through Google. I always go through my my bookmark, but
There's,
here we go.
oh, okay. I see you doing the same thing I am. Okay.
I'll race ya.
You're gonna win. Yeah, okay.
If
I'll
you
play around with it a little bit. Yeah.
scroll all the way down, yeah, I think the open space is at the bottom.
Oh, for layers. Yeah.
One question I have, I don't know. The open space layer, you can click the legend too, Sadie. So the tab up at the top that says legend. Yeah. And then scroll to the bottom. I don't know what the private actually is. It's the open space, that light green, the private lands. Like Governor's Academy shows up that color.
Like this.
Yeah, that's a weird one because it's only
Mhm.
like part of the
Yeah, like
parcel.
that's
That was a question I had. So that's a question I have for Sophie and Kelsey at Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. I mean, what it should be is, I think, is permanently protected ownership of land that's, so Greenbelt, you've got yellow now.
Woohoo.
Municipal. It's that lighter green private. I'm not sure what that actually means. And the hatching, I believe, is new as well.
Yeah.
Agricultural preservation restrictions and conservation restrictions. I guess like Caldwell Farm makes sense if you're looking at that, since that's where you are, Sadie. But so that light green is, it's owned by a homeowners association, but it has a CR held by the town. So it is privately owned.
It could, not that Caldwell has it, but you could have a situation where it also had chapter designation on it too. You could have a CR, be privately owned, and be in the chapter program. So you could have a lot
Yeah.
going on.
And I guess you could have it owned by Greenbelt and have a CR held by the state.
For sure.
And yeah.
Or municipality. We have municipalities that hold restrictions on some of our properties too. So yeah, it could definitely.
Are there any? This one has two things on it. It's
Yeah.
got hatching and the dots.
That's the golf course, isn't it?
Yep.
Interesting.
Which I think it might be this mixed use. I can't
Yeah.
really tell though.
I just don't know who holds a restriction on it. I don't know if I had that in my table as restricted.
I've always thought it is, but I don't actually know either. So
Yeah.
be
That's an
worth
interesting one.
checking out. Yeah.
I had a question pertaining to the town-owned land in my section. Christina had made a comment about adding a column about level of protection for town-owned stuff. You might be able to answer this, Kristen, but my understanding was that Article 97 under mass laws, basically, if municipal land is used as conservation or recreation, it's deemed protected, meaning the legislator has to vote on it and it has to go to like town meeting before it could be like sold or use changed or anything like that. So like a municipality we couldn't just sell the green or develop the green into housing, for example. Like, so it's protected, but it's like not protected under the same way, like with a restriction or something like that. So I was trying to think of like, I understand the comment and I agree that it would be nice to have that information in there. I wonder if there's a non-complicated way to kind of address that, because none of the town properties have restrictions on them. I know that much. So the only level of protection I could think of would be an Article 97 protection under state law.
Yeah.
I think if I understand that correctly too, you could sell a property if it goes through all the right channels, but then you also have to put like equal acreage. You have to like get equal acreage kind of back now. Like there's the whole no net loss rule in Massachusetts with conservation recreation land. So I don't really know how to address, if it's protected or not for the municipal owned land.
For this, are we time out in this chart?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the way we did it in Ipswich was it's care, custody, and control. So which entity has care, custody, and control of the town-owned land? And you can, if it's Conscom, that's Article 97.
Okay.
And which you're right, like it's really, really hard to get something out of Article 97. So that would be like sort of the most, protected. But you can also have something, well, Newbury doesn't have it, but water supply protection is like care, custody, and control of a board of water commissioners, or select board. Those are the common ones. And I haven't actually gone through that exercise for Newbury, but my guess is almost all of them are select board. But it's sometimes there's digging to figure that out, right? Like how was it acquired and what kinds of restrictions were in the acquisition initially.
And I did work with Martha on this table to see what she what she either recalled or had files on or could look up. So like the grant stuff was what her and I kind of came up with there, but there wasn't there's not a lot of records for stuff back in the 80s or prior. So like she might have had something that literally just said Mass Help Grant 1984. There was no other information, you know? So some of it might be a little lost to time. As far as the
Yeah.
details go there, you know, I mean, I could see for the Coffins Island piece across the street from me, because the trust for public land was involved in that there's some further level of protection there, but as far as I know, there's no restriction on that either. You know what I mean? So I would think that would be like a classic Article 97 situation. But
Yeah.
I just don't know how
It's-
to kind of get all that detail into this table or explain it in a way that would make sense to a layperson.
Right.
So I'm up for
Yeah. Let's
suggestions or thoughts going
think
forward.
about it.
Yeah. And I guess I should look at the old plan too to see how we addressed it there too, because I don't recall.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because there might be, you know, we might dig up something that would be an action, right? Like
Yeah,
Coffin's
sure.
Island really should have another layer of protection on. So who can we, you know, work with to do that or something?
Yeah.
But again, it's sort of like maybe we dig as we can, but don't get held up on this, right? Like, and some of the digging might be following a deed back as far as it could go.
Yeah.
But also maybe it's just like you're saying, you know, conversation with someone like Martha or, you know, a member of the rec committee who knows, well, that parcel was acquired at that town meeting. And we just like, literally just like, let's write ourselves notes, like in the plan, like, you know, we know it was acquired at town meeting, intended for recreational purposes, doesn't yet have any, you know, care, custody, control or any Article 97 on it. We'll just like note what we can figure out. There's not tons of them, I guess.
Yeah, some of the stuff like the random salt marsh pieces or whatever, it's just going to be what it is. We're not going to find anything on.
Right.
Except maybe when it was acquired, you know.
I know one thing I know has come up that I don't know enough about, but we might be able to get some of the historic commission folks to help us out or something. But I think when the town boat ramp was acquired, there was like a portion of that land that was supposed to be sort of like a park or something. And I've always kind of wanted to like spend some time to figure that out because it's a lot of pavement right now, right? But maybe there's some way. I mean, that would be like a classic cool grant application to kind of look at stormwater management and, you know, bring in this like, you know, more natural park area as it was intended when it was acquired and still
We
provide
thought
it
you already
usable.
did that with the whole renovation that happened over the last 2 years. We thought that you had your hand in that because there is like a little picnic table that sits out there, and we were like, all right, there's the park element because there's not enough parking there, so we can't get rid of any of the parking. But
Exactly.
but we did see the picnic table.
I don't even
thought that was you making it into a
Oh, good. Yeah, no. I've talked to people about it, so sometimes that's what it takes.
You might have planted the seed and it made a little area there. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
just
that's great.
mention that the lighting over there is well improved too.
Mm.
Good to hear.
Yes.
I haven't forgotten about that conversation, but I had not heard it's been addressed. So that's awesome.
It has.
Yeah, good. Now we gotta write actions and then like check them off and say done. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Good questions, Mike, about that. And I think, you know, again, it's I think when somehow the Conservation Commission is like receives a gift or is, the grantor of the CR or the grantee of the CR, that's where I think Article 97 stuff is triggered. And if there's nothing that shows that, then I think we'd have to assume it's just sort of general town select board, which is not
Right.
permanently protected, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll just note, I had to drop off for another call that came in, but I'll just note because we're happen to be on this page that I can see on the screen. And I had added in a comment, and maybe that's what we're talking about, adding a column as to whether these things are permanently protected. And it feels like that's like not something that we now have to do as part of this plan to get it published, but something we could kind of do in the background. And maybe that's where you guys were all landing, but it could be like an action in the needs department, and then we can just work on it on the side.
For sure. Yeah, that's exactly what we were just talking about. Because I was trying to figure out, just quickly to re-summarize, if any of our town property automatically falls under the Article 97 protection from the state. There are no conservation restrictions on any of our town-owned lands that I'm aware of or that I've found. So I was trying to figure out what might fall under that article designation versus what might not. And there's some legwork to do to understand that, or at least to be able to put something clearly in this table that somebody not in a conservation background would be able to clearly understand, like yay or nay way.
So maybe we leave it as it is, but then Kristen and Sadie, if you guys are going to write some of the needs and actions, maybe we just add that in as one of the needs and actions, like review town-owned conservation and recreation lands and confirm permanent protection or something.
That's a good call too.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Christina, before you drop off, I thought it was Bill's birthday. It's your birthday, right?
Yes, it is my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy
I
birthday.
can't believe you're doing all these night calls on your birthday. But...
That's right. That was actually a birthday call coming in from London.
Oh,
So
okay.
I had to answer it because it's 1:30 in the morning and they were reaching out. So I'm like, okay, I got to answer this.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Sorry, I said today.
Before you go, I'm not 100% sure I will be around on the third Tuesday of March. So I wanted to ask what other days people are around. Just you guys who are here. I don't think we can. I think I might send an email out to you all to decide a date, just because we're missing a couple others. But I wanted to just see what would work for you all. Maybe the next week. I know that's like messing up our schedule, so I apologize, but there are 5 Tuesdays in March, so I figure we can use another one.
I'm fine with the 24th. I can make that work. Seems like there is actually, we're gonna do waiting on Merrimack Valley probably, so they'll maybe
That's
they'll
true.
need that time. And then this action needs list stuff. They'll buy people some time to work on it if you need our help and if you guys are gonna work on it. So I think 24th
Okay.
would work.
Everyone else can do that, and not for certain yet, just want to see what all of your availability is.
Yeah, 24th works for me.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, slight chance that I will be on the road, but don't coordinate it around me. I have something tentative in Texas, but it's fine.
Okay. Sean, are you around
Yep.
then?
I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Okay. I will.
There's scheduled to be a select board meeting, so we won't be able to use the if we have it in person, we'd have to do it somewhere else.
Oh, that's true. You're right. Okay. Good.
I mean,
to
these Zooms
consider.
work good for me too. So if you want to do another Zoom, I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
that's always an option too.
Okay.
I'm gonna hop off, you guys. Got planning board tomorrow night, so I'm gonna go
I
eat some
think-
dinner.
I think we've reached the end of our
Yeah.
agenda, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I just had one committee member update, but Kristen, you don't have to stay for that. Thank
Okay.
you
Great
so
to
much
see
for
you guys.
participating tonight. This was great.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks for everything,
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Kristen.
Hey, see you later.
Yeah, so committee member updates. So I got something. I'm gonna pull it up. Yeah, so Christina and I got invited to do some restoration work at Larkin Dam site. It's called Riverbank Revival. It's being done by Riverways. There's also, it's actually a big group involved. Town of Newbury, Massachusetts Division Ecological Restoration, Division Marine Fisheries, and NOAA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So it's a big kind of get together thing celebrating the dam removal. They're looking for people to just show up, donate some time. If you're interested, Christina and I are probably going to go in the morning. It's St. Patrick's Day. It's the 17th of March. So think after that we get to go drink green beer or something. I don't know. Yeah. So, anyways, just put it on your radar. Go check it out. There is a sign up list. You have a website you can click on to sign up. And I think it starts at 10 a.m. And you meet at the town offices right there in that parking lot and then drive over. So if you want to join us, we'll be there.
What's the sign up through? Which organization?
It is Ipswich River Watershed Association. Yeah. And it's called, if you Google, it's called Riverbank Revival.
Bill, did you send that email out to the whole committee?
I think I sent it to you.
Okay. If you want to forward it to the committee, that
Yeah.
would.
I'd be happy. I'll do that to the whole thing. Whole committee. That'd be
Thanks.
great.
Cool.
Yeah. Great. And we got the next meeting date. So anything else? No? All right. Well, so you said it was gonna be a quick one tonight, but yet again. We got a lot
We
done.
defy all odds.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Excellent. Meeting adjourned. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There we go.
Aye. Okay. Good
All
night.
right. Thanks
Thank
all.
you all so much for everything. I'll see you next time.
Sounds
Absolutely.
great. Thank you.
Thanks, all.
Have a good night.
Bye.